Hello.
Oh, what's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Game Time, the longest running sports show in YouTube history. That's right. It's been going on for a number of years, and we're back with a brand new episode here today on November 7th. Excited to talk about everything that happened in week 9 in the NFL. So much to get into, so much to get down. We're rounding that corner to where the back half of the season begins, and we got ourselves some real jostling for playoff positions for sure. I am the Outlaw, John Rocha, joined as always by the biggest Cowboys fan on the planet this side of Roger Staubach, and that is Winston A. Marshall. How are you, Winston?
The biggest. I don't look. There's this dude Ernie on Twitter who just sucks at the teat of loving the Cowboys, wow. and I do love the Cowboys, but I'm also like, I'm that parent that is always rooting for my kid, but sometimes you're like, I just got a little idiot. That's just my little idiot. Okay, well, all right. And to be honest with you, today's not that day. We lost, but I'm not even that mad. I'm honestly not. Okay. We'll get into it. I actually thought that was a great game, and that's what I needed to see to believe that we can not only make it past the divisional round. I think we could feasibly not only get to the NFC Championship, we could maybe win it if this is now the point at which they turn the corner.
Wow. Yeah, interesting. Okay, all right. And just let you know, Winston, you're pretty pixelated, so I don't know if you want to go back out and come back in, but it's just got a little bit of pixelation on you. So I don't know if it's an internet issue or whatever, but just letting you know. I'll leave it at your decision to do that. But we got Streamlabs. We got Streamlabs available as well. You see the Streamlabs address right above our heads there in the middle. It's also pinned in the chat in the description of the video. Send in your support as we go along. We love the lively chat. Also supporting us is a great way to keep the show coming back every week for sure. And I'm planning on adding even more sports content here to the channel now that MLB is over. The Rangers are the champions. We got NHL. We've got NBA. College basketball is starting out. College football is rounding into shape as well as we're heading towards the playoffs and all of that. So that's a lot to be talking about there on the sports side of things for sure. Am I removing you from the? Am I putting you? Okay, all right. Let's put him here. There he is.
So I forgot I'm uploading something for work. It says it'll be done in about 2 minutes. So we'll use my phone, and then once that's done, I'll
good. I love it. There's someone make a short out of this. All right, so let's move on. Let's go to the first game, and that's of course dealing with Winston A. Marshall's Dallas Cowboys, who traveled to Philadelphia to battle the Eagles for top spot in the NFC East here. But the Eagles got the job done. Jalen Hurts shook off a knee injury he took a direct hit to that knee here and led the Eagles past the Cowboys 28-23. He only threw for 207 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he did run for another push, whatever you want to call it there, to get the touchdown there for them. The Eagles are the only 8-1 team in the NFL, and Dak Prescott, I think, did a great job trying to come back and lead this team consistently against that tough Eagles defense, but on the end, he was sacked by Josh Sweat for an 11-yard loss to end the game. But CeeDee Lamb had an incredible game himself, and Prescott threw for 374 yards and 3 scores. CeeDee Lamb, 11 catches, 191 yards. So this was a tough back and forth. It looked like the Eagles had put them away, and then the Cowboys kept fighting back. There was that controversial no touchdown to that tight end that would have turned the game around a little bit. So, Winston, you sounded pretty positive on Twitter or on X, whatever they're calling it this week. Is that your overall vibe coming out?
I'm gonna call it Twitter.
Yeah, okay, fair point. But what is your vibe coming out of both? Oh, we lost it there. Okay, he's coming back in. All right, that's great. You look great. What is your overall vibe coming out of this game about both your Cowboys and the Eagles?
I mean, what it is this. It's the same thing that has been said about the Eagles. I think the one thing that they have working in their favor, they have this weird X gene. It's similar to what you see in the Chiefs, where they find ways to win.
Yeah.
But the problem is they're finding these ways barely in spite of themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like they do not look like the Chiefs that we're used to seeing. They do not look like the Eagles that we saw all of last year.
Right.
They are very gettable. And it was proven throughout this game.
Yeah.
And the fact that they almost choked hardcore 3 horrendous, and that was not the refs handing shit. That was the Eagles fucking up. We were in Philly. So if anything, the refs are going to be looking to try and help you out a little bit. They genuinely blew it. And they are just lucky that apparently Terrence Steele was like, I got my bread. I don't give a fuck, because you had those dual sacks. Otherwise, we're on the 6-yard line and Dak is rolling, baby. So like I think that the big questions that were asked is, in clutch moments, can Dak show up? And he did. This was not a Dak failure. 374, 3 touchdowns, was using his feet to extend these plays, to give him more time, all that kind of stuff. That's incredible. Now, again, moral victories don't mean shit. You need to actually get the wins. However, the biggest thing that I think everybody kept saying about Dallas is, who have you played that's worth any salt that you've beat? And the fact that we got beat so bad by San Francisco, the question was, do you actually have the sauce? And I genuinely see, watching this game, they have exactly what they need to win. You just need to work on some time management shit, because that's not always great. And then you just really need to clean up red zone efficiency, because while obviously we did get those 3 touchdowns from Dak through the air, we went to the red zone 5 times, I believe, and only came out with 3 scores. That's not going to cut it. You know what I'm saying? So like, I definitely think this team has room to improve, right? For sure. But the proof that we have what it would take to do it, sometimes you just need to catch heat at the right time. And if this is the beginning of them to catch heat, and you can ride that into the playoffs, I'll take it.
Yeah, it was. I agree with you to an extent that I think this is a shaky 8-1 from the Eagles, and
it's very shaky, bro.
It's as rickety as Jalen Hurts' knee, and that's a good.
I was gonna say is that bridge in Temple of Doom, because that bridge was rickety as hell. All you need is one good, just chop, and that's a wrap, bro.
The rest of the NFL is like the old King Kong movie where they're shaking that tree and everyone's falling off, because eventually that's what they're aiming for. And look, it's like any athlete. If they're injured, you're going to go after the thing they're injured for. I was watching the Kurt Angle documentary last week on Peacock, and he talked about when he wrestled for that gold medal, the guy he was wrestling knew he had a fracture in his neck and tried to injure his neck to win that title. So, things happen in sports. People want those titles. We want those victories. You got the direct hit on Jalen Hurts' knee. It still wasn't enough to knock him out of the game. In the end, they took care of business. But these numbers don't look good to me. A.J. Brown, for the first time in the last 5 games, was stopped from getting 130 yards receiving. Only had 66. DeAndre Swift, only 43 yards rushing, and lost a fumble there. And
butt fumble. It was butt fumble part 2. Like the fact that Rex Ryan was even saying it. He was like, I know about butt fumbles.
And then Jalen Hurts is only 207 yards, only threw 23 times. So these are not strong numbers overall. The defense bailed him out. I also think a couple of interesting calls there in the game. And also, I don't know why CeeDee Lamb is running 3 yards before the goal line to try to catch the ball and jump into that end zone. That made no sense to me. That was a play.
That to me wasn't Dak. That's not
on Dak at all.
No. I was gonna say I don't necessarily even think that was on CD, because there was a better read. Because one of the things that I like watching a lot of the talking heads talk about it, specifically watching James Jones over on Speak. And then Ryan Clark said it as well on Get Up and First Take. You watched, really, you've seen it start to develop, but you watched the birth of Ferguson becoming that guy. About we needed that second option, and he has become that guy. And if you go back and look at that play, he actually was open, but in that exact moment, I think Dak maybe went too quickly in his progression and didn't see him.
Right.
And that would have been the better throw. So it wasn't great to throw it to CD, but I also understand you throw it to your best player and hope he can make a play. You know what I mean? And like, it's also, we're we went from being on the 6, we were back all the way to the 35, I think, something like that. So you're also trying to figure this out quickly after getting sacked twice because Steele apparently ran out of gas and just allowed all these sacks to come through. I think there was just a lot of stuff kind of going on. And it's kind of wild to me, man. So like, I think the thing that pisses me off, and this is why I remember when people were like, "Ooh, you got Brandon Cooks." I was like, I don't care because Brandon Cooks, sure, he's had a number of 1,000-yard seasons with various teams, but he hasn't, other than that like first or second year with the Saints, hasn't been like the guy. Like he should have been the number 2 option instantly. He should have been the deep ball threat because even though CD can do that, his main bread and butter is cooking you in the slot. You know what I'm saying? So Cook should have stepped up by now to be that threat. And one reception, you know what I'm saying? Like so there were like, again, little tiny things that if we make these tweaks, like I think where I am now a little upset with anybody, it's Jerry Jones. I think this is a moment where you could have gotten tried to find another receiver to mix it up. You could have gotten a Derrick Henry because, again, I love Pollard. But Pollard is an explosion play guy. He is not the bread and butter by the numbers pounded out. You need somebody. So if you could have gotten Derrick Henry, oh my God, that takes a lot of pressure off of these receivers that maybe aren't giving us what we need, because now all of a sudden they got to worry about, is Derrick Henry or is Pollard going to fuck us up? Like I just,
No, I agree with you 100%. I think that's the problem with the Cowboys is if they had a running back, a good runner, nothing against Tony. I agree with you. Tony's not a consistently strong running back, get you 150 something yards to balance things out with Dak, take a little bit of pressure off Dak, allow CD to get open more and have bigger games like he did last week. That is what you're missing. And you hope at some point they remedy that down the road. I agree with you. I came out of this game. I actually didn't think the Cowboys played badly overall. I thought they hung in there with the 8-1 Eagles, by the way. And so in Philadelphia, it's not an easy victory. And so I think that's a good situation there. And look, you're getting battle tested in the season.
Yeah.
I think that speaks volumes too. You rose to the challenge, you step up to the plate, and you handled your business here in Philadelphia. Not quite enough to get the victory, but certainly close enough to almost get it done. And I got to ask you this because we got to take a look at this. We got to look at this a touchdown, this supposedly non-touchdown here from the tight end. I'm a little confused about how this isn't a touchdown. Chris Sims, this is from Chris Sims' Twitter account. He posted this today. It looks like a touchdown. They called it a touchdown. It's a touchdown on the graphics. And then you take a look at it again. Now let's take a look. Schoonmaker catches the ball, and right there is where the knee is down. All right, so let's go to just a little bit. Right there is where the knee is down, and that's what they're calling. And the ball is just a little bit of an inch before the goal line. So it's just a shame because, like, I don't know if you can tell.
Go back just a little, right. See, so this is my problem. He has the ball there. Is it that the ball has to cross the plane, or that a part of your body, because like his right foot is down?
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? So yes, I know that left knee, but he's in the end zone when he first gets contact of the ball. So that's why I was personally confused. I understand based on how they were talking about it. And if it specifically has to be the ball crosses, then yes. Then by the law of the land, no, that's not a touchdown. His knee is down.
Yeah, but I think these have to be touchdowns, to be honest with you. With a running back, it's different, or a receiver running towards the end zone. If their knee hits before the ball crosses, it's different. But this is all in motion. And so for me, I think they have to amend this kind of stuff, that if you land like in that way, because he did not increase the ball, he didn't stretch the ball. If you land right there, I think you should be able to get the touchdown. So to me, I thought it wasn't a great call in the long run, but it's confusing to find out like what is a touchdown, what isn't a touchdown. So it's just so frustrating in this because he's completing the act.
I get it, but like that's the whole thing. It's and especially with replay, it is a game of inches, and in that particular moment, his other appendage, his knee was down, and the ball hadn't crossed. So yes, by the time he hits, if it had been more of a stretch, if it hadn't been that his knee hit, but like his whole body just fell. So if he had been flat, that's why we give so much credit to these receivers where they do all that fancy footwork on the out of bounds line and whatnot. So like it is what it is. I didn't even get that bent out of shape. I was upset, but I didn't get that bent out of shape out of it because it's the rule. It is what it is. I just what bothers, and then like I wasn't even mad at Dak when he ran out of bounds. Like, bro, you're scrambling as hard as you can. You know he's already feels some way about that ankle based off of what happened to him years ago, and he's hustling, hauling ass, and missed it by just that one little step. I can't even hate him for that either. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. I wish he would have been in bounds, but but whatever. You know, it's the moments that I get upset are those moments where time management stuff. I'm furious at Steele, bro. You got paid a lot of money. I need you in this major moment. I need you to stop it. I need you to stop these sacks from coming in because this is it. And we were essentially being handed the game by the Eagles just fucking up because they did. They really screwed this up at the end here.
Yeah, they've got the Chiefs here on the 20th because they got the bye next week, and they're at Kansas City. I got a feeling I don't know what to think of that game. You've got an incompetent offense on the Chiefs side, and you've got a strong defense on the Eagles side with Jalen Hurts. But Jalen Hurts coming off 2 weeks of being able to rest that knee, so it's going to be real interesting because that Chiefs defense, which we're going to talk about in a little bit here, they are a strong defense. So I'm wondering how they're going to react to having Jalen Hurts coming in and this rematch because still a lot of people think that pass interference call shouldn't have been called there, or should have been called rather in the Super Bowl. So it could be very interesting to see how that game plays out. But you look at Philly, and this is why they're a rickety 8-1. They beat the Patriots by 5 points in the first game of the season. Mm-hmm. The Vikings only by 6. Yes, they took care of the Bucs by 14. Fair. The Commanders only by 3. The Rams only by 9. They lost to the Jets. They took care of Bills and the Dolphins, but every team with a winning record takes care of the Dolphins. They squeaked by the Commanders last week by 7, and then only 5 points against you guys to get the victory. So there's not really been one comprehensive, strong victory other than the Dolphins game in their entire schedule, and that makes me worried for them as Hurts's knee is getting more and more damaged as the season goes along. So,
I mean, look,
I think they're going to get got in the playoffs.
That's the thing. A win is a win is a win. Yeah, but I guarantee you, if they do in the same way that we got told a number of times, if it wasn't last year's, the year before, it was the year before. Yeah, with the whole McCarthy is not good at clock management, and we were like, this is going to bite us in the ass at some point. And that ended up being the case when we're against the 49ers in the playoffs. That all of a sudden don't know who to hand the ball to, running around, and all of a sudden the clock's just dead. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. This is one of those things that the Eagles will get got, and a team that is more prepared, like the Niners. They made some big trades. All of a sudden, they can undo what has been a slide. If Purdy stabilizes here, that could be a moment where they capitalize on something like that. You know what I mean? The Buccaneers have been kind of rolling. They didn't have the best game this week, but they've been rolling. And like, if they again get in their stride, that could be a whole thing. You play us again. If you're screwing up like this, what's to say that we're not going to take advantage of that next time we're here? I think there are too many threats in the NFC. And let's say that the Eagles make it all the way to the Super Bowl. Yeah. You think that the Eagles, like, as much as we have been shitting on the Chiefs because the Chiefs need to do better.
They need so much offense.
They need to do better. You don't think Patrick Mahomes wouldn't take advantage of you put me on the 6-yard line? I bet you Travis Kelce figure that shit out. Like you can't do that. If the Eagles are serious about making a title run, you have got to clean some shit up. And I don't hope that they do in the bye week because I don't want them to do well. Yeah. But for any Eagles fans that are cheering them on, I hope you're happy with your 8-1 because that's 8-1 where literally, bro, you've almost got hit by like God knows how many cars here, and you're just real lucky that you're froggering your ass through this right now.
It's a bit of murderer's row because, as I said, 2 weeks, then they take on the Chiefs, then they've got the Bills at home, they got the 49ers at home, then they go to Dallas, and then they go to Seattle. Seattle, not an easy place to play, no matter how well they're doing overall in the league this year. That's not an easy place to play. Then they get 3 easy games against the Giants and the Cardinals back to back there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Eagles. But I got a lot more faith in Dallas coming out of this game than I do the Eagles for sure. Yeah.
Also, I see El Boogie over here like all in his Eagles. Cool. What more do you want from me? Like, I mean, it's like, okay, look, Tyrese.
Convincing victories.
Here's what I want is I want any team in the NFL to show me that they actually are trying to do this. And to be honest with you, the only team that I feel really good about, and it's because they have followed the same pattern that they always have, is the Bengals. The Bengals genuinely are the Bengals and the Ravens. I take that back. I think it's going to be Bengals. I don't think the Chiefs are going to make it this time. I think it's going to be Bengals Ravens in the AFC Championship. Obviously, you have to see how standings go with that because, wild card stuff will mess up and blah, blah, blah. You're in the same whatever. Right. But I think the two of them, they're the strongest two teams in football, in my opinion, currently where we stand. It doesn't mean things can't shift because Burrow is looking healthy. His squad is doing what they need to do, and that defense is holding shit down. Like, I genuinely think those are the two teams right now that could go all the way. Everybody else, you would either need to improve or get lucky.
Yep. Perfect segue because we'll move on to that Bengals game here. They took care of business here against the Buffalo Bills. Bills Mafia, I'm sorry. Tough loss here. Joe Burrow passed for 348 yards and 2 touchdowns. They beat them 24-18. It's their 4th straight win after starting out 1-2 in the season here. And they are looking, as you said, like the team of last year, like the team of the year before. They look ready. T. Higgins had 8 catches for 110 yards. Burrow was 31 of 44 here. And the Cincinnati defense forced 2 turnovers and held off the Bills at the end there. When the Bills had gotten it close to 24-18, there was like 3.5 minutes left in the game. The Bengals turned on the offense, eventually ran out the clock, and that was it for the Bills. And so, and Josh Allen, this was a perfect Josh Allen game. Confounding interception, confounding passes, but then gutsy, cocky, confident play to get them even to come close to 6 points in this game. So just back and forth, really interesting stuff. See both of these teams, but the Bengals look confident again. They look swag. They look like they're ready. They got that swagger to them. And coming out of this game, man, now the Bengals, this team looks like a team that's ready to go ahead and take care of business in the NFL again on the AFC side of things. What do you take coming out of this game? And Sean McDermott, the coach of the Bills, came out and said, well, we were trying different styles of offenses this season, so I guess we're going to go back to our whole high-powered offense. And it's like, what? So I got a lot of confusion coming out of this game, man. What's your feeling?
I think the Bills are the AFC Cowboys. That's to me what they have been for the last few years. Everybody, I think the reason why nobody sees them that way, nobody has called them out like that, is because not being the Cowboys, not having a Jerry Jones, like the Bills Mafia being a fan base that everybody seems to support. And when you especially throw in, unfortunately, what happened to Hamlin last year, then all of a sudden you got a lot of people that don't even really pay attention to football, or they watch it lightly. True. They're pulling for them because that's an emotional story. You want to root for them to do it. There's a lot of emotional links to wanting the Bills to do well. However, the problem is they are so similar to the Cowboys where like they can come in and wreck shop.
Yeah.
But when you need them to like do the damn thing, they just can't get it done. Now, where they are better than the Cowboys is they're at least making it deeper in the playoffs than we are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. In the same way that like I just said that I believe the Ravens are one of the teams that could go all the way. Until I see Lamar prove to me that he can show up in big playoff games, that makes it hard. The only thing that's working in their favor for the Ravens right now is Lamar is playing well, but that defense looks like classic Ravens defenses that are terrifying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's the thing here with the Bills, man, is that I don't really have faith in anybody on this offense except for Stefon Diggs.
Yeah.
You don't know what Josh Allen you're going to get week to week. This is we've talked about how he is very similar to Brett Favre in his play style, where like he can blow you out of the water and he can go a little too gunslinger and screw shit up. And I just think that I think the biggest takeaway from this game is that of all these young quarterbacks, and I don't put Patrick Mahomes in that category because he's like a couple years ahead of these guys. So I'm talking the Burrow, Allen, Tua, Herbert, Hurts.
Yeah.
I think Burrow's the best. I do. I understand that Jalen Hurts got hit all pro last year and had MVP votes. I get all of that, but we have seen him actually regress a little bit this year. He's still kicking ass, but where a lot of those stats get a baby bit padded, and I don't judge Philly for doing this, they got the tush push. So there's a lot of like random stats that are no, seriously, where it is so effective. It is so effective. And they were talking about it all game, where it's like you don't actually feel like you have to get shit done in 3 downs. You actually are like, now we're just gonna go for it on 4th every time, because if we're at least within 1 yard, we're gonna get it. We're gonna convert. So I do think that he has regressed a little bit as far as like he was like pretty lethal through the air. And you're seeing a situation where AJ Brown is just fucking AJ Brown and he's crushing it. But like, I'm not getting those same scary vibes from Hurts, on top of the fact it sounds like he's injured. Joe Burrow, now that this calf seems to be normal, my guy is cooking again. You know what I mean? And he's got all around. He's crushing. 31 of 44. Like, my God, my dude is rolling over here.
Yeah. And they got a stronger offense. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon. Bro. That's a lot of weapons in that offense that you're using. Josh Allen was the leading rusher for the Bills. That's not a good sign. I mean, I don't know how many years Buffalo has to go on as a team without finding a good running back. Not a decent running back, not a serviceable running back, a good running back. Because I tell you right now, they're not winning dick until they get a good running back. They've got Stefon, who for however long he's going to stay, and you've got Gabe Davis, but Gabe Davis didn't have any catches in the game at all. So to me, Buffalo looks a bit more flimsy than people want to admit here when you're looking at them, and they don't look dangerous anymore. And I think they're a 1-and-out if they even make the playoffs, and that's a scary thing to consider here.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, man. I think that the Bills do have enough to again, you can go in stride, but you've got to exercise some demons here. And one of them is making sure that Josh Allen is consistent. And then the second is, I need somebody. I mean, Kincaid is doing decently well because I know Knox is hurt right now. But I need these other receivers. I need Gabe Davis to be consistently a threat, because Stefon can't do it by himself. I think the best thing that could have happened to the Bengals is that they could not find a trade partner for T. Higgins. I think it would have been stupid to trade him anyway. I think having Higgins complement Chase takes the pressure off of Chase, especially if Chase gets hurt. Like, bro, that is the best thing that could have happened to them to keep, because you're looking at a very lethal 1-2.
100%. 100%. I do want to show you one thing here, because as I said, I don't know how long Stefon Diggs is going to be there. I mean, his frustration with the Bills this year has been evident in certain moments. And even here, when he scores his touchdown, he hits a security guard on accident from behind. The man is obviously of weight and size. He has trouble getting up. And Stefon is saying, get your ass up, get off me, man. So that is I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily a positive thing that you want to see from your receiver. And, obviously the security guard feels bad about his patting him, but Stefon in no way is like putting his hand on the security guard saying, hey, sorry, I hit you from behind. He hits him from behind catching the ball. Not on purpose, obviously, but Stefon lost in his own shit. So this is what you get. And I don't understand temperamental receivers like this. I really don't. They fucking almost always flame out. And become a punchline and become something people reference as a joke. And to me, this is where the problem is with Stefon. His constant complaining, his constant grousing, Josh Allen and the Bills constantly having to explain. There are a number of reporters in Buffalo who've come out and spoken about what it's like dealing with Stefon, and it ain't positive. And there was that hot mic moment from 3 weeks ago with one of the female reporters talking about him, and she claimed she was joking. Bullshit. And then this moment. So to me, this is all just a stack of patterns. This doesn't help your team win. This doesn't help your team get to the place. He did the same thing in Minnesota. So for me, Stefon has become a receiver cancer on your team, and he's taking off the table more than he's putting on the table.
I disagree with that. He doesn't take off more than he puts on. Like, nobody else is actually doing anything. Like, he's the only player that's actually making things happen. So if you're saying that maybe he's not the attitude doesn't fit, then you need to try and trade a Stefon Diggs for like an AJ. AJ Brown's not going to leave the Eagles. He's very happy in Philly, but like you need to go see if you can swap number ones with see if you can get Debo. Trade Debo for whatever. Like, it's obviously too late now. Trade deadline's over, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that's something you maybe look at in the offseason and see if you can figure something out like that. Shit, if they don't like him, I said it before, I'll say it again. Why? Like, I don't think we have the money to do this, but shit, go team up Stefon with his brother. Let one Diggs cook you on one end, let one Diggs cook you on the other, and let Lamb take everything else. I'll do that all motherfucking day.
You are insane if you think CeeDee Lamb and Stefon Diggs are the right combination for Dak Prescott on that team. You're insane.
Are you kidding me? It'd be great.
These two would drive him to a mental institution.
No,
you're out of your mind.
So then who do you propose should be our second receiver? Because I'm very curious where they're supposed to go.
You need a strong possession receiver. CD should be your number one. And you need a strong possession. Find Julian Edelman, put him in a time machine, and bring him to the Cowboys.
That's the problem. You got to remember, CD, he can do the X every now and again. He plays from the slot. We already technically have infinitely better, in my opinion, Edelman / Welker. We need an X. It's not, he's still the number one receiver. He's just working from the slot. That's all it is. We need an X receiver. And that's what Cooks was supposed to be. But that's why I was not excited about him when he came, because he hasn't, where has he gone where he's made that kind of difference? He has an occasional like big play like that happens, but he's just not doing it. You know what I mean?
Wasn't Hopkins available in the offseason? Why didn't you go get DeAndre?
Why don't you talk to Jerry Jones?
I know. Well,
he was too busy looking into that time machine so he can go back and stand outside that high school again and be like, I knew we should have never let him in school. Look at it, Dak Prescott can't get it done.
I'm just watching. One thing I want to say before we go to break here real quick. Of course, we'd be remiss not to mention that this is also the site of DeMar Hamlin when he had that horrible cardiac arrest moment and was resuscitated on the field. If you can go online and see the videos there. He stood there, or he kneeled down there, I think, for like 15 minutes before the game. He was inactive for the game, but kneeled down there for 15 minutes before the game, kind of just being lost in his feelings about all of that, coming to that place where you almost died. It surely must be incredibly emotional. But I thought some of the shots and just him sitting there, standing there, or kneeling there, I thought was really emotional, really moving as well. And that is the actual DeMar Hamlin for you nutballs who think it's a fucking body double. And I thought it was incredible. So
anybody that watches, there's people that watch this show that think that DeMar Hamlin
I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? We get a number of views, but they don't all leave comments. So who knows? Let's take a quick break and we'll move on to some more games here from the NFL right after this. All right, y'all, let's jump back into week 9. Just remind you all the Streamlabs are open. Streamlabs address, send in your support, send in your love. It's pinned in the chat description of the video, also there on the screen above our heads. Let's move on to Patrick Mahomes. That's right. It's the Kansas City section of the show today. He threw 2 touchdowns, and the Chiefs hung on to beat the Dolphins 21-14 in Germany. I think it's the first NFL game played in Germany. The Dolphins overseas are 2-5. Maybe don't agree to any more international games in the future for a while. Brian Cook, the Chiefs safety, had a fantastic fumble return for 59 yards here off a Tyreek Hill fumble. That doesn't happen that often. And the Chiefs improved to 7-2, taking care of business. Miami was coming on strong in the late parts of the second half here, certainly drove down and had the possibility to tie the game up, but they just fell apart mentally on all sides of that offensive side of so all players on the offensive side of the ball, they were dropping balls, they were fumbling, they were something like that, and then eventually overthrowing, and Tua got sacked there, and that was that, man. So to me, it's an interesting game of 2 halves. Kansas City clearly owning the first half win. They went up 21-0 going into halftime. But then Miami really shut down Kansas City because Kansas City's offense is inept. It's inert now. When we see now, if you can stop Travis Kelce, who only had like 64 yards receiving, you can shut down this Kansas City Chiefs offense because they only scored 14 points on offense. 7 of those 21 points was obviously the fumble return for a touchdown. So the Dolphins, I don't understand how the Dolphins can't beat winning teams when everyone is kissing Mike McDaniel's ass and Tua's ass and talking MVP and all this shit, and they cannot beat winning teams at all this entire season. To me, they're a middling team. They're no longer dynamic like people were thinking, and they become more and more of an illusion as the season goes along. What are your thoughts out of this game, man?
There's a lot. There's a lot that I've got a lot of feelings I have going on. These Dolphins remind me a lot of what the Cowboys looked like the year that Diggs was on pace to break the all-time record for interceptions,
right,
where he was a shining star in that moment, but the rest of the defense was just shaky as shit.
Yeah.
So that's not that you've got that moment where this offense is flying, because we had games. We had those games of like blowing out the Falcons like 53-3 or some shit like that. You know what I mean? So like we had wild games where that offense, was rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Defense was not. And and to that point, then all of a sudden you came up against a defense that could really hold their own, and you start to self-destruct, let alone a team that is well-rounded. Now, mind you, happy for the Chiefs for winning this one. This was sloppy. I think that this is the main issue here. And obviously you're going to have Sean going, oh, blood feud. I want you to go ahead and go to ESPN. I want you to pull up the box score for this game, and I want you to explain to me what the fuck happened to the rest of your receiving core. It's the same thing we've said this entire time, is that Pacheco is good, but he's not blow your mind good, right? So like your run game is like solid enough to hold you down, but it is what it is. Who other than Travis Kelce is actually good at catching the ball? Because the best receiver of this game was Noah Gray at 34 yards.
Gray.
If Travis Kelce is not playing at Travis Kelce levels, you guys look suspect as fuck. And I understand the idea that, yes, you were able to go and win a Super Bowl with just Kelce last year, but people have gotten on game, and Patrick isn't playing at an MVP level like he was last year. He's playing as like a good quarterback, not an incredibly, oh my God, how did you do that level? Period. Like that's okay. Top 15 in points. Do you understand that 15 essentially is middle of the pack?
Yeah.
You want to win the Super Bowl, and you're bragging about being middle of the pack with points. Stop it, Sean. I know you love your team. You know that I do not have a blood feud the way that Rocha does. I'm just being honest with you.
I'm being honest.
You're being an asshole. You're being honest, but you're being an asshole. Who on your team is ready to catch the ball? I would love to know it. And you had options to go get people. Great. You have a top 2 defense.
No, absolutely. I'm never going to, I don't denigrate the Kansas City defense this year. They've been incredible. Even Patrick Mahomes gave them all the credit in the post-game interview and said that they saved their butts. They do. And he keeps saying, we're going to figure out the offense. There is nothing to figure out when you don't have the tools to figure it out. You've got serviceable players up and down the line other than Kelce and Mahomes. Rocha. That's it. Everyone else is serviceable.
You know what I can't wait to see? Because Sean is so confident. You support your team. You should support your team.
The Commanders have better receivers than the Chiefs do. Go ahead. Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, what I can't wait to see is when these Chiefs play the Bengals at the end of the year on New Year's Eve.
Oof.
I can't wait. Yeah. Because since the Bengals have gotten back to the form that they're normally at, I would love to see these Chiefs when Burrow is out here tossing touchdowns to Mixon and to Higgins and to Chase. I would love to see, when the only option you have is Travis Kelce, how they actually handle this. Because it's not just that, and this is the other thing we talked about before. Losing Bieniemy clearly had an effect.
Oh,
Andy Reid is the guy. I love Andy Reid.
Right.
It has clearly had an effect. And if you can't see the forest from the trees enough to admit that, then I don't really feel bad for you when it comes to the playoffs. And all of a sudden, for the first time in a long time, the Chiefs are bounced in the divisional round.
Yeah. Now, you can have a great defense, but if your offense can't do shit, it's not going to matter when you play a team that has both a good offense and a good defense. If you think this team can hang with the Bengals, you're out of your motherfucking mind. If you think this team can hang with the Ravens, you're out of your motherfucking mind. This team has problems on offense once they shut down Kelce. God forbid anything, and I don't want this to happen, but God forbid Kelce gets injured. Who have you got out there?
And
he was Sky Moore or McCall?
He was already injured. That's what's wild. He was already injured. And what happened? Lost to the Lions. And the Lions are a good team, but like, there's no reason that game should have gone the way that it is, because you're watching wide open catches and touchdowns being dropped. Was it this game? Was it either this week or last week? You had another wide open touchdown that the Chiefs dropped. I think it was Sky Moore again. If you like, again, the same way I was giving Eagle shit, if you there's a certain level of experience and pedigree that will get you, and luck that'll get you by, but there is a point at which, if you do not have your shit together, when you play a team that is, the hunger is there, all the pieces have come together, all that, you're gonna disappear. Because again, what happens to the Chiefs if this Ravens team playing the way they are playing now decides to just do this the rest of the year? You ain't beating them. What are you talking about? Like, I again, they got the pedigree. They could turn it on later, but like the receivers have really made me nervous. They have made me so nervous that they are this shaky.
Yeah, and look, they've had a pretty cake schedule through the entire year so far to go 7-2. So, you know, and it doesn't get that much more difficult in the back half of the year. They do have the Eagles. They've got the Bills again, but it's at home now. And they've got the Bengals at home as well. So that's going to be an interesting, those 3 games will be interesting, but the other games are completely winnable for them to keep padding their stats. But, you know, that's not going to matter once
both
start,
of these Raiders games are interesting.
Yeah,
just because, like, apparently firing this trash man that is Josh McDaniel.
Oh, no.
All of a sudden, the Raiders are like, fuck you, pay me. Like, they're ready, bro. So, like,
old school Raiders. Yeah. But what do we say about Miami, dude? I mean, I don't want to spend all the time going after Kansas City because I think Miami deserves a lot of a bashing as well. Tua for all the talk, Tyreek for all the talk. Dude, they can't beat a team with a winning record. 3 losses, all to teams with winning records.
This fool's gold and bad losses.
Fool's gold. Exactly.
And bad losses. Because even this 21-14, yes, that's a score. But when you just kind of look at how, you know, ultimately the Chiefs kind of opened up a little bit and like didn't even do anything crazy. You know what I mean? Like they the Miami could not score in the first half. And it was just the Chiefs kind of holding on and whatnot. Like I think Miami, again, that offense is phenomenal. That defense is suspect. You know, did Ramsey finally play? I didn't watch this game. It was too early.
Yes, I think he did play. But again, it's phenomenal against shitty teams. Mm-hmm. They're not phenomenal offense against good teams. So how this is like going to Sacramento and averaging 35 points a game for the Kings. Like, who gives a shit? You're a good player on a bad team. It's not going to fucking matter. Can you do it with a good team against other good teams?
I'll tell you this.
And I don't think their offense is that great if they're only doing it against shitty teams.
The only thing I will give you, and this is something that we have to keep in mind, because remember, those first 3 games, you want to know why they just opened a can of whoop ass? I don't think anybody was ready for a chain. I don't think anybody was ready for that kid.
That's fair.
And not having him around is a big missing piece. Like, Monster is still doing a great job. Like, but the tandem of them, but specifically a chain was like the fact that but prior to this week, I don't know if it's still the case, but prior to this week, Rocha, he was still top 10 in yards and rushing touchdowns. He was number 9, and that's off of 3.5 games, Rocha. So like he's supposed to be coming back either this week or next week, and having him back. No, not this week because they have the bye this week. So he's back the following week against the Raiders, and having him back should answer a lot of questions and maybe becomes that linchpin. The Miami defense is still an issue, but remember, a chain got hurt pretty early on, I believe the second quarter of that Bills game, and then after that they couldn't hold him. So like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's the same thing here where like if he comes back, that could be the missing key that changes everything. So we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see for sure. Let's move on to the Ravens. We've mentioned them already throughout this show here. They routed the Seahawks. Sorry, Two Fly Cam, but that was a 37-3 absolute ass kicking here.
Shellacking.
I mean, the Ravens are starting to slowly put it together, and they may have just accidentally solved their running back problem with Keaton Mitchell, their rookie out of East Carolina, running for 138 yards and his first touchdown here. Odell Beckham added a touchdown, his first touchdown since the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago. And they routed the Seahawks, who were in first place, by the way, in the NFC West here. Gus Edwards running for 2 touchdowns as well. Lamar throwing for 187, running for 60. He is 18-1 against NFC teams. I did not know that. 18-1 against NFC teams. If these fuckers could manage to get into the Super Bowl, they'd win the damn thing. So it's crazy to think about this. But shout out to Keaton Mitchell here, whose dad played for the Ravens as an undrafted free agent in 2000 when they won the Super Bowl. So how funny, like father, I've lived long enough that like father, like son is up in here on the same team. So what do you take away from this, man? No one's really talking about the Ravens in the same breath that they're talking about all these other teams, but they are just quietly under the radar, taking care of their business here, man. What's your feeling on these teams coming out of this game?
I mean, I think that I honestly think that the Ravens look exceptionally well. I would love to see Lamar put it through the air a little bit more. But it doesn't matter if you're winning, you're not throwing the ball away, and you have that defense at your back. We're chilling right now. Again, the biggest question mark out here is how many times have the Ravens looked this dangerous? And then you get into the playoffs and it's just not the same team.
You're right. Because their losses are confounding. The Steelers and the Colts are their two losses. And Lamar,
I'll give you the Steelers. The Steelers make sense. It's a division game. The Steelers are always going to be in the mix. Even when they're bad, the Steelers are still like pretty decent. You know what I mean? Like that's just how they roll. Even when they're bad, they're decent. So those teams hate each other as much as our teams hate each other.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
Very
like as
true.
much as like the Chiefs and the Raiders hate each other. Yeah. So like they always play hard. And that to me, even when one team is really good and one is really, that feels like a toss up every game.
Yeah.
Every single time. So I'll give them that loss. The Colts one, that doesn't make as much sense to me, except for the fact that I believe that Anthony Richardson played when that happened. And that kid, I think, is the truth. I just think that, like, you know, he obviously got injury. He's apparently got some injury issues. So hopefully, again, he goes to the same jiu-jitsu camp that Tua did, same summer camp, you know? So like I think the thing that shocked me more, I didn't expect the Seahawks to be this bad.
Yeah.
Like that, they've been playing very good ball this year. That was bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad.
They got exposed, and this is who they are. You know what I'm saying? Like they lost to the Bengals. They lost to the Rams at the start of the year. They did get a victory against the Lions in the second game of the season, which I thought was a damn good game. But they've only beaten the Cardinals. They beat the Browns without Deshaun starting the game. They beat the Panthers and the hapless Giants. And so if they squeak into the playoffs, it'll be as a wild card, and they'll most likely get knocked out unless they're playing a lesser team there. So, yeah, we'll see what happens because right now they're sitting at 5-3, tied with San Francisco for the lead in the division. That we play them next week. The Commanders do. But then they're at LA. Then they've got the 49ers, then the Cowboys, then the 49ers, then the Eagles. That is rough stretch of games there before they finish off with the Titans, Steelers, and Cardinals. So it's going to be interesting to see how Seattle turns out in this. But Baltimore also has a rough schedule here coming up. Winston, they play the Browns, who look good with Deshaun Watson at quarterback again. The Bengals, then they're at the Chargers, then the Rams, but then they're at the Jaguars, at the 49ers, then the Dolphins, and they end with the Steelers. So this is going to be a tough back half of the season for the Ravens as well. We're going to see where they really stack up by the time that last game is played.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how they play this out, man. But I think the Ravens will be fine. I honestly think they will probably win the division, and the Bengals will get a wild card spot.
Yeah.
I actually think that you're going to end up in a situation where you will get, I think, the three wild cards of the AFC will probably be the Bills, the Bengals, and I think Cleveland.
Yeah.
I think the Dolphins will hold on, and they will probably walk away with the division title over there. Yeah, I think that you're going to see both the Bengals and the Browns make it, and I think the Bills will take the third spot. I don't know what order those three will be in, but I think the Ravens will probably win the division.
Yeah, I'm looking at the AFC right now, and we talk about Kansas City. Kansas City is right now on top by winning percentage over the Baltimore Ravens, both of them 7-2. Jacksonville right behind at 6-2, only because they played one less game. Then you've got the Dolphins at 6-3, which, as we said, are fool's gold. But the Steelers are 5-3, then the Browns at 5-3, then the Bengals at 5-3. So this is going to be really interesting because if you're Kansas City, you are desperate to have home field advantage, to have some kind of advantage going into the playoffs here. But if Baltimore keeps doing their thing and survives this rough back half of the season, all roads in the AFC could lead through Baltimore. And that's going to be that stadium is tough to play in. Those fans are adamant about their team. They love their team. And they're no slouches either. So this could be interesting that it's actually going to go through Baltimore by the end of the season, not Kansas City. And God forbid it goes through Jacksonville. It might even go through Cincinnati if things fall a certain way. So it's got to be real interesting to see how this all plays out when it's all said and done. All right, let's move on here to the next game. Joshua Dobbs rallied the Vikings coming off the bench after he's just been traded to the Minnesota Vikings to a 31-28 victory over the Falcons, who were led by former Commanders quarterback Taylor Heinicke, sitting in for Desmond Ridder here. Dobbs threw 2 touchdown passes, including a go-ahead 6-yarder to Brandon Powell with 22 seconds remaining, and also ran for a score 5 days after being acquired. The whole reason he wasn't going to play is because the coach said he didn't have familiarity with the playbook. We needed to have another week with him or whatever, but he got in there because the other quarterback, Jaron Hall, suffered a concussion in the first quarter, and Dobbs had to play. Now, Dobbs wasn't pretty. He fumbled the ball. He threw a terrible interception, but in the end, he was able to rally these Vikings. God damn it. I got a feeling this team is going to sneak its way into the fucking playoffs. Might even win the division, for God's sakes. So it's crazy, but I think it's good for Josh Dobbs, who is suffering in Arizona, man. So,
dude, look, I'm pissed off at what he did to us down in Arizona, but I'm rooting for Caillou. I'm rooting for Caillou, bro. He out here in these streets. He's out here in the streets talking about Caillou, just all up on just. Oh man, let alone the fact, bro.
Yeah,
he got there 5 days prior.
5. It's a completely different offensive system.
Everybody has to learn new offenses, but it's that much harder for a quarterback, obviously, because they have to know it.
Yeah.
And my guy did this just like that. Like, the only other thing that I think is more shocking and ridiculous is how the Falcons are fully wasting Bijan Robinson.
Oh, man.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
They are fully wasting Bijan Robinson, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Dude, they're wasting him so much that another running back took all the headlines for Atlanta coming out of that game. That's how much they're wasting Bijan Robinson.
Yeah. Now to that point, the Vikings aren't going to take the division, dude. That's not going to happen. They might take a wild card, but they're not like, let me look at the standings, because I don't think I know the standings
Detroit's
right now.
at 6-2, then Minnesota at 5-4, then Green Bay 3-5, and Chicago 2-7. They're only 2 games behind Detroit, man.
Yeah, but yes, and Detroit could fall apart, but the Detroit's playing good ball. They're playing good ball, and yes, Dobbs is around. And if this is his like kind of Geno story where all of a sudden he makes that full turn and he becomes that guy, cool. Yeah. But there was a reason he's been kind of a backup and a journeyman. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a reason for that. So again, it's a great story to have. So maybe, but like, look, I'm sitting here and I'm saying, it'll either be us or the Eagles. I'm probably going to give the division to the Eagles. I think the Lions take it. No, I'm serious. I'm serious because we just talked about how they're shaky. We're only 2.5 games behind them, and we get to play them again at home. If we play the same way, but because we have the home, that kind of upset. Like, I could very easily see the Eagles losing. They could lose to the Chiefs. That would all of a sudden open some shit up for us. Like, there's plenty of avenues where we can still take the division from them, but I'm gonna give it to them and say that we take a wild card spot, right?
Okay.
So that being said, I'm looking at this. So let's say they take that. Let's say the Lions take that. Then between San Francisco and Seattle, I'm going to believe that, especially with the acquisitions, San Francisco snaps out of it and they win their division.
Okay.
And then that leaves either the Saints or the Falcons or the Bucks. I'm going to go Saints with that. So with that being said, that then leaves Seattle, Dallas, and then the Vikings most likely to bring in the wild card teams.
Yeah.
So, good for the Vikings. Congratulations, you got a wild card spot. But I you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Oh man.
Yeah. I like it though. I mean, I have a strong feeling for that kid, and I want him to do well. He went 20 of 30 for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns. Heinicke did his. I mean, I watched the 15-minute highlight package they put on YouTube for this game. Heinicke completed 21 of 38 for 268 and a touchdown interception. But man, it's tough to watch him, dude, because Heineke can get you into certain positions, but then he blows it in critical moments. And that's the difference between a great NFL quarterback and a good NFL quarterback, or a journeyman NFL quarterback. And that's pretty much what Heineke and Dobbs are at this point. And so it must be frustrating overall there for Atlanta fans, because Arthur Smith is a terrible coach. And Desmond Ridder is supposed to be their guy, and they can't even get it done. Bijan Robinson, they've really wasted him, as you said there. Winston and Tyler he's going to do his best there as the quarterback for the Falcons. But in the end, I see the Falcons regressing. And that stadium was almost sold out, man. It's crazy how much Atlanta loves their team, but they don't put good product on the field for the last few years. And I don't know what to think of them, but we'll see what happens with the Vikings. Because I don't, I'm not the biggest Kirk Cousins fans because of how he played for us, but I do like the Vikings. And so I will probably be quietly cheering for Dobbs to get the job done. Well, let's move on to someone who isn't a journeyman quarterback, and that's CJ Stroud. Holy shit. This is the last game of the section here. I mean, CJ Stroud, dog, the Texans got this one right. He threw for 5 touchdowns and a rookie record 470 yards against these Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look, the score was pretty low at the end of the first half, and then both of these teams, Baker Mayfield and his Bucs, CJ Stroud and his Texans, absolutely exploded in the second half. This was incredible. Baker, at the end of the game, led the Buccaneers down to score a 14-yard touchdown pass to Cade Orton with 46 seconds left. But then CJ Stroud, in 46 seconds, drove the team all the way down the field and scored with like 6 seconds left on the clock, throwing that touchdown there. Tank Dell, one of his receivers, had 114 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Noah Brown had 6 catches for 153 yards, and Dalton Schultz had 10 catches for 130 yards for the Texans. That is a lot of yards for 3 receivers, including your tight end, on your team here. But at the end of the day, they got the job done. I just picked him up as a backup in fantasy for next week because I have Hurts and he's out. And if Hurts goes out for an extended period of time, I don't have any issue starting CJ Stroud after this performance. What do you think of this kid, man?
This was the most soul crushing, because this is the one league where it's like, it's pretty clear if I didn't win this week, I'm not making the playoffs. Like I'm like, this was like my last like line in the sand here. Yeah. And I've had Stroud all year. And there was a point at which I went to play him over Burrow, because at the beginning, Burrow was playing like garbage. Right. That wasn't a good game for Stroud. So that would have been week 5.
Okay.
Week 5. And that's when Joey B decided he wanted to wake the fuck up. So that was super frustrating, right?
Right.
So then I'm sitting here and I'm like, all right, okay, the Texans are playing the Bucks. Okay, and Joey B's playing the Bills. Yeah, but like Joey B's the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like he's back. You gotta play your starter. Like you gotta do it, man. And then all of a sudden, here comes this asshole, CJ Stroud. And if I play him, I win. And like I am now like I need to physically do the math, but I'm pretty sure I'm now eliminated from playoff contention, and that sucks because. Sorry, man. But Guy Stroud was doing the work. Now, mind you, this is just one league. I got other leagues. It's not a big deal, but this is one that I won last year, so I'm a little salty about it. Gotcha. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, my guy was out here in these streets just abusing the Bucks, and then stepping up when he needed to win this thing, bro. Like,
watch this game. Watch
the Texans ain't gonna do shit this year, I don't think. But I bet you next year Texas is about to be the dog of the walk, bro. Ain't nobody gonna be talking about no Jacksonville, no Indianapolis. I don't even know what the other AFC South team is right now. That's because they don't matter. The Titans. Nobody gives a fuck. It's about to be the Texans world, and they're all just living in it, man. Because CJ Stroud he's real, and he's making, like, Bryce Young is good. Like he deserved to be the number 1 pick. But he is making every quarterback taken look like they were a mistake. Bro, he is balling.
He is absolutely balling. Yeah, Bryce Young must be looking at what's going on there and just being like, oh, God, I've become the Ryan Leaf of this situation, because it is not looking good for him over there in Carolina.
You see,
CJ. Yeah.
You see Stroud out here throwing the 2 former Dallas studs and Noah Brown and Dalton Schultz being like, hey, I heard y'all like touchdowns and yards. Let's go, bitch.
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, he looks so good. Even Baker Mayfield after the game said, that kid ain't no rookie quarterback. He said that after the game. The throws he was making, the things he was seeing on the field, that's no rookie quarterback. And so when you got someone like Baker, who, of course, has been through the ups and downs of being a high draft pick coming into the NFL, into a losing team, trying to turn their fortunes around, and then now he's at Tampa Bay. He's been through it all in a way, and so he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And if he's blessing CJ Stroud like this, that's a really strong compliment.
Dude,
and if he's figuring out the game this quickly as well, Winston, this is a danger for the rest of the league for the rest of the season.
Dude, and poor Baker Mayfield, man, because like he played a good game, 21 to 30, 265, 2 touchdowns. You saw you saw Rashard White giving you 73 and 2 touchdowns. Like they balled, and you just CJ Stroud is just that guy.
Yeah.
So
you score with 46 seconds left, a touchdown. You think you're going to win the game, and then the defense lets you down because CJ was finding those pockets. Getting the time to find his receivers wide open down the field.
I really think that Stroud will probably end up winning Rookie of the Year, man.
Oh, 100%. 100% right now, for sure.
Next week, not, it depends. You know what? It depends. It's probably going to go to Stroud. If let's say a chain comes back and does the same shit he's been doing, and Stroud continues to play like this, because they always want to give awards to quarterbacks on top of everything, then fine. They will probably give it to Stroud. And it's not to say that he doesn't deserve it, but like, to me, knowing that again, for at least for a chain, number 9th running back in the league after missing how many fucking games and only playing 3.5, that's wild. So like, it'll be very interesting to see that rookie who would be the defensive? I'm trying to think who is like instantly come in as a defensive player and change the game. Maybe somebody in the audience would know better than I would.
Yeah, it makes it crazy too, because last week they lost to the Panthers, to Bryce Young and the Panthers. CJ Stroud did. So hopefully something unlocked for him in this game. You know, like Neo, we see this happen with young quarterbacks all the time. They have that 1 or 2 game stretch where things unlock and they understand the game. And maybe this is the game that's unlocked him, because their next game is this Sunday in Cincinnati against the Bengals. And if CJ Stroud can match Joe Burrow in this game on the road against Cincinnati, I think that's going to go a long way to building up this kid's confidence and making a lot of people take a second look at these Texans, who are, by the way, only 2 games behind the Jacksonville Jaguars in the league right now, in their division right now. So yeah, after the Bengals, they've got the Cardinals, they've got the Jags again at home this time, who they beat, by the way, in Jacksonville, 37-17 in week 3. Then they've got the Broncos, the Jets, the Titans, the Browns, the Titans, the Colts. That's a completely winnable schedule that they could sneak into at least a wild card, possibly, if CJ Stroud has figured this thing out. Let's take a quick break, Winston, and then we'll jump into the rest of the NFL here right after this. All right, we're back. We've got a few Streamlabs, actually. Let's answer some Streamlabs here. Winston, Mike Joyce says, I need you two's wise counsel with my fantasy team. I need a number 2 running back, and Mahomes has been disappointing fantasy-wise this year. I have an opportunity to trade Patrick Mahomes for Will Levis and Najee Harris. Should I do the trade? Winston.
I would attempt to try and go get Mitchell first.
Oh, okay.
I think don't even answer this person. Just be like, let me think on it. I don't know if your friend is also watching this, say, let me think on it and see if you can get a hold of Mitchell right now.
Yeah.
If you can't, I would maybe see if you can field other stuff, because to be honest with you, there's a couple issues. One, Najee Harris has not been good. He really hasn't. He hasn't been good, which sucks, because I really like Najee Harris. He's serviceable if you're really hurting that bad, but like that's not the first thing I would go for. And Levis is good. However, we don't know if it's going to be consistent. We don't know if he's going to, you know what I'm saying? Like let's pump our brakes for a second, because I think somebody's trying to fleece you in that regard. So if there is a way that you can go and find another running back to make stuff happen. You need to always be checking waivers, people getting hurt, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. James Conner is about to come back. If you can maybe find a way to leverage for that a different way, I think there are other things that you can do than this. I think if you're going to be trading Patrick Mahomes, even if he's having a down season, because this is a multi-time MVP, a multi-time Super Bowl MVP, you need to be getting more than that. You really do.
Is Antonio Gibson available in your league? He has been coming on the last few weeks, numbers wise, and so I think that's someone you can take a look at as a running back too as well. That'll get you about 9 to 10 points.
Did Mike Joyce send this? Because he just asked.
Yeah, Mike Joyce did. Yeah.
Look into Keaton Mitchell. The game he just had. If that genuine, you never know. It's a very real possibility, because this is only his second game, and he went off this game.
Right.
So there's a possibility he just had a very good game. But I remember when Kenneth Walker had that last year, and everybody was like, "Oh, it was a good game," but it's whatever. I picked him up immediately, and I was like, "He's gonna sit on my bench for a minute. But let's see what happens." And then all of a sudden, that became a little secret play. All of a sudden, that I could use. So I would say start with that first. But no, I would not, unless you're that desperate. Unless you're telling me that bye weeks are coming, you literally have no running backs whatsoever. That's not the way to go.
Yeah, fair point. Fredtastic says, great show, Game Time. Happy my Rangers went and got it. Marcus Semien for MVP. He played in every game this season, including starting in the All-Star game. Now that baseball is done, I can focus on football. Yeah, Winston, they won the World Series, the Texas Rangers there. I was cheering them on for you and for numerous reasons, because I'm not the biggest fan of that version of the Phils there. So, but they took the Diamondbacks, rather, they took care of business and got a great victory here. You were worried last show because they'd lost Scherzer, they'd lost Garcia here, and so there was concern that they weren't going to be able to step up. They stepped up even more.
Stepped up,
it was
dude.
Incredible, man. What's your thoughts here? Texas finally getting off the schneid and winning the World Series.
It's so funny, man. It was absolutely my heart was lifted. I'll be honest. I have a range of emotions with it, because that's something I've been. The very first professional sports game I went to, I was taken to a Rangers game. So even though I'm not the biggest baseball fan, I've always been a diehard Rangers fan. I just kind of check in and out with baseball because, again, for me, the sport has I've kind of left it behind a little bit, but I still care. You know what I'm saying? So I was caring throughout the playoffs. I was paying attention throughout the playoffs. I was watching any games that I could. But my heart was so full when they won. I put a video out about it, how I would fully almost fainted and shit. I had a rough evening the rest of the evening, so I didn't really get to enjoy it. But I will say what was so amazing was my girlfriend, Kristen. She knew how important it was to me, and that I had a rough rest of the evening. So on Friday, she kept telling me that there was she wanted to do this activity, and I was like, okay, what she wouldn't tell me what it is. She's like, when are you off of work? And I'm off at this time. She's like, okay, at this point you can't come out of the office until I say so. And I said, okay. And I came out, and bro, she had blown up a whole bunch of red and blue balloons. She had put on the Rangers playoff highlights of the entire run through the World Series. She had made hot dogs, got Cracker Jacks, got nachos. Went and got me Shinerbach beer, my favorite beer, and it's out of Texas and all that. And we essentially, because I couldn't make it to the victory parade, because I had obviously a rough couple days, the day of the win, she helped me celebrate something that has meant so much to me, man. And so
that's awesome.
It was amazing. And I know I have an incredible one in that, because that was shit. Hold on. Let me see if I got a photo real quick. I'm gonna try and show it to because I don't know if we got the whole setup, but we got me with the hot dogs and all that, man. I was out here. Why are there a million photos of this wedding we were just at? Who the fuck was taking all these photos? But yeah, bro, here you can kind of see it there.
Oh,
there I am with the Shiner box and the balloons. And now there's a lot of stuff on the other side. There's so many fucking balloons.
Yeah.
But it was fire, dude. It was so cool.
That's cool, man. That's great. Yeah, Sean says there's nothing like watching a World Series when you think your team will never win. I'll never forget the Royals in 2015. Yeah, it's a fair point. I don't know that experience as a Yankees fan, because I always think we're going to win. So, all right. Next, Doug Developer says 3 rookies, Stroud, O'Connell, and Bagent, had better performances than Zach Wilson, who is in his 3rd year. Oh, and O'Connell is a 4th rounder, and Bagent is undrafted Trash Wilson is top 5 all-time bust. Dude, I cannot deny. Watching it last night, this is a third-year quarterback, and he is making some of the most boneheaded throws you're going to see somebody do. And I imagine Robert Saleh is looking at Josh Dobbs stepping into quarterback the Vikings and going like, God damn it. I could have found a way to go get that guy. I could have found a way to do it, but no, I got to stick with this kid. And I don't know how much of this is Aaron Rodgers' influence. I don't know how much this is Woody Johnson's influence. I don't know if I really believe Robert Saleh believes in this kid as a quarterback, but he was making some of the most boneheaded decisions last night. And you're watching CJ Stroud and you're going, at no point does CJ Stroud look like Zach Wilson. So this is something that I think the Jets, unfortunately, are going to have to suffer through. And this illusion that they had that Zach was somehow turning the corner because they beat the Giants in overtime in the rain is just madness, absolute madness. And Aaron Rodgers ain't coming back in time to save him to get into the playoffs. And I don't know what's going to happen next year with Aaron Rodgers.
Well, that's the whole thing. Zach Wilson, I will say this much. Yes, there was a lot of ugly plays. You had 3 fumbles, 2 that you ended up losing. He did not play a great game.
Nope.
But you know what's interesting? Played a better game than Justin Herbert. It may not have looked like it from the eye test. And Justin Herbert has a lot of accolade, but like just raw numbers here.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert was 16 of 30 for 136 yards.
True.
It's not good. That's not good. That's not good, bro. Like, and the thing is, I think we all agreed that Zach Wilson is not the guy. So for people to be getting mad all of a sudden is kind of silly to me. You understand that he had been relegated to a backup, that Aaron Rodgers was to come in and do the thing. So for people to get that angry, I think is very silly. You would expect Breece Hall to be able to do more than 50 yards, especially against the Chargers defense that hasn't been that great. So I'm also kind of looking at that. Where is this stud running back? So I'm not, and that defense did the best that it could, but it got worn the fuck down, right? Yeah. What I'm really looking at in this game, sure, the Chargers got a win, but against a Jets team that the defense has been the story here. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you credit for being 27-6, but the Chargers just like, talk about a team that's just not gonna do it. Yeah. They're just not gonna do it. Yeah. And at what point do we start having the conversation about Justin Herbert about like, cool, you have gotten so many yards and touchdowns or whatever, but that he was, I think they said yesterday he was 24-24 or 28-28, something like that as far as his record goes. I guess it puts him at like 29-28 now at this particular because of this one win. But like, at what point is Justin Herbert going to actually earn the contract he just got?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think we have to get a new coach for the Chargers, and then I can see what we've got in Justin Herbert. I think Staley's been that great of a coach and is kind of, for lack of a better word, truncated the development of Justin Herbert here as a quarterback. I think he's gone as far as he can go under the guidance of Brandon Staley. We need someone new to step into that team and take over and guide Herbert. And I hear you, the fair points on the numbers, but you also have to throw in all the numbers, which is Zach Wilson had 3 fumbles in that game, 2 of which he lost.
I said it. I said that.
Those are the numbers.
That's 2 turnovers. I agree, but like I'm also looking at this. Justin Herbert had a fumble that he was able to. Fortunately, because I remember that's one of the few plays that I did see where he fumbled it. And he was like, "Oh Jesus!" Because somebody on the Jets got a little too ready to run that scoop and run. And so he happened to be able to just barely get his body on top of it. Like, bro, I get it. But like, I am not expecting much of the Jets at this point. I'm really not, because you don't have what your original game plan was, right? Yeah. So they're relatively bad. It is what it is. Yeah. I'm looking at the Chargers. What is your excuse? You went and got this. You went and got this offensive guru out of oh my God, I can't remember his name anymore. We just fucking we just had him. He used to work for us. It starts with a K. What? Okay. Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore.
What is wrong with me? You went and got Kellen Moore to kind of lead your whole thing. You've got receivers out here like Allen. I know Mike Evans and Allen be going in and out. Like, at what point is Quentin Johnson going to step up? I dropped him in all my leagues at this point because I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, enough is enough, bro. Yeah. Like 14 yards, really? So like, I just the Chargers, to me, even with the win, I'm disappointed.
Yeah, no.
Like I expected a better performance for this.
And I think they're in the same basket with the Bills. A lot of promise, can't seem to get it done in critical moments, and that's the truth. And so we'll see as this goes along. So let's keep going through these questions here. I am Two Fly Cam, and thank you, Doug Developer, for sending them in. I am Two Fly Cam says, hey guys, sorry to join you so late. I'm glad to see Winston's trash Cowboys lose another big boy game. Look, you're a Seahawks fan. Should you be talking about anybody's team? Dak is not that guy. Hopefully Parsons doesn't cry on his podcast about another lost season. Vikings are better than this team, honestly, and the Mavs look decent.
So this is hilarious. This is clearly just a trolling. Personal. This is just a trolling, and that's fine. People, it's the internet. We've accepted that trolling is normal. So first of all, no, the Vikings are not even remotely close to better. Good for Josh Dobbs. No. Are you fucking kidding me?
Not even close.
Absolutely not. Second of all, did we watch the same game? I understand that we lost. I understand that there are no moral victories in football. It's about what the final score says. But again, did you watch how we played the Eagles? Come on now. If
your Seahawks lost to the Ravens by 34 points, and you want to talk about,
you got completely shellacked by the Ravens, and you want to come at me and talk about Dak ain't the guy when Dak has had two incredible back-to-back games of almost 400 yards and multiple 3 to 4 touchdowns a game. What the fuck? Are you watching the same football? I'm curious. I'm so interested in this. How's Geno Smith working out for you? Because I do love his story, and I'm glad he's having a little bit of a bounce back. But you acted like Geno Smith is out here balling like Lamar Jackson or playing like CJ Stroud. He's not. What the fuck? And the Mavs look great. Kiss my ass. I won a World Series. All right, let's move on.
Sean Brennan rounding out our thank you, Sean. He says another week, another episode of the Rocha Mahomes blood feud. Held the number one offense to 14 points, and they still have no shot. Right. If they beat the Eagles, will you say they can win the Super Bowl, or will nothing quench your bloodlust? No, I will never believe this season that the Kansas City Chiefs, with that putrid offense, has a legitimate shot to win a Super Bowl. It's great to have a good defense, but you've got to be able to do something on offense. This isn't when the Ravens won with Trent Dilfer. The league has moved way past that kind of situation ever happening again. You need to be good on both sides of the ball, or else you're not going to get it done. Look at San Francisco and what they did when they made their run to the NFC Championship and lost to the Rams. They beat a very strong Cowboys team. Then I can't remember who they beat in the second round. Oh, Green Bay. And then they went and lost to the Rams. Why? Because the Rams had a great defense and a good offense. The 49ers had a great defense, but a crappy offense, or a mild offense, or mid offense rather, with Jimmy G. So that's the difference. And nowadays in the NFL, you don't win Super Bowls without having good players on both sides of the ball. And Mahomes can only do so much. And we saw what Tampa Bay did to Mahomes in that Super Bowl when they shut down his weapons. And so that's what a good defense is going to do eventually in the playoffs when things get tight. They matter.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
To say that the Chiefs have no chance of winning the Super Bowl is silly.
I think
they've been 3 times and won 2. They still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have Andy Reid. They still have Travis Kelce. They still have Chris Jones. However, the odds of them doing that are very low. You need to understand, like, having that championship pedigree and being in that position multiple times, there is a different level of preparedness, and there's a different level of, like, being able to pull it together than someone that this is their first time and they're more talented. Yeah. So I will not go so far as to say that they can't do it, but I will tell you this: they are not even remotely close to my odds-on favorite, period.
Yeah.
But as long as you have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid, I'm not going to count them out, but they are low on my list.
Well, I'm counting them out. All right, let's move on to the last games of the NFL this weekend. The Chargers, as we said already, and I love Patrick. Honestly, all bullshit aside, I love Patrick Mahomes. I think he's a great person for the NFL, great spokesman, great pitch man. He's been an incredible quarterback. He's an instant Hall of Famer.
Dude, Mahomes and Maotto have been the guy.
That is hilarious. I just question his choice of wife, and his brother is an a-hole. Anyway, all right, the best of the rest here. The Chargers beat the Jets 27-6. Antonio Pierce inspired the Raiders to a victory over his former Giants 30-6 here. Steelers beat the Titans in Thursday Night Football 20-16. Steelers just quietly putting a good season together. Deshaun Watson and the Browns beat the Cardinals, blanked them 27-0. Boy, were they missing Josh Dobbs. The Saints beat the Bears 24-17. Packers beat the Rams 20-3. The Commanders, beat the Patriots 20-17. And the Colts beat the Panthers 27-13. Anything you want to talk about from any of these games? Do you want to hit the Antonio Pierce news? What's your feeling on any of this stuff?
I mean, already shit on the Chargers
and the Jets.
Yeah, they both suck. Let's see. Congrats on the Raiders. I'm pissed as fuck because I was out here like, the Raiders have been trash. Let me go ahead and get this Giants defense real quick because they've been at least halfway decent. And that looks like a good matchup. I regret that shit so hard. Lord, bro. Like I lost one of my fantasy games because of that. Because I was like, I don't want to play the Eagles right now. I don't want to have to root against myself even harder. I already have Hurts in a different league. I really don't want to do this. So I went and said, fuck it. I'll go get the Giants defense against the Raiders. I regret that. Good on the Steelers. Deshaun Watson, glad you finally decided to do something. Not really, because I don't like you. But like, at least for the people that care about him, I guess good for them. I expected the Saints to have done that. I expected the Packers to have done that as well because the Rams are not good and you don't have Matt Stafford. I expected you guys to do that because I think the Patriots are the worst team or the worst team out of the two of you.
Yes.
And then I expected out of the Colts because they're the better team out of the Panthers. So there's my rundown of all of them.
Thank you very much. Yeah, look, I'm glad we took the victory against the Patriots. And I don't know if Howell is the guy. I don't know. I'm dying to move Ron Rivera off of head coach. Certainly the trades that they made. Look, we won the game. Everyone was watching the game wondering, oh my God, we don't have Montez Sweat. We don't have Chase Young. How are we going to put pressure on the quarterback? And we put pressure on the quarterback and we got the job done. And we held them off when they were coming back in that second half and took care of business. So yes, the Patriots are not good, but we got the job done. And now we're sitting at 4-5. And who knows what happens with us? If we end up 800, I'll be happy with that for the season, or 500. I'll be happy with that for the season. But in the end, I know Ron Rivera's got to go. And apparently they're already the owners kicking the tires on who they could bring in to be the coach of the Commanders next. And thank God, maybe they'll elevate Bieniemy, or maybe they'll just go ahead and fire him at some point, and Bieniemy will be the coach for the rest of the year. We'll see in that situation. But Antonio Pierce, if he has inspired these Raiders, if he's really figured this out, for God's sakes, no one hired Josh McDaniels to do anything except maybe coordinate your offense. Other than that, it should be a running backs coach or a fucking defensive backs coach, or maybe even just a guy who's sitting in the room and he's just there for you to get some counsel from. That's pretty much it. He's been exposed. He's done. If you give this guy a head coaching job in your for your team in the NFL, you are clearly signaling that people can fail upwards and get rewarded, and you want to tank the season. That's exactly what you're doing when you hire a coach like this. In the long run. But I hope Antonio Pierce has figured it out for these Raiders. Look, they're 4-5 as well. They're not going to catch Kansas City, but they might sneak into a wild card here because the second place teams are all within a game of each other. The Bills are 5-3 or 5-4. The Pittsburgh is 5-3. Houston is 4-4, and the Raiders are 4-5 with the Chargers right above them at 4-4. So there's possibilities if the Raiders can figure it out with Antonio Pierce. So I like that. But before we go, I do want to say one thing or a few things here. Updates. It looks like Cam Akers might be out for the season after kind of finding his voice or finding his legs again. And
it sounds like he did. I just got an alert that in 2 of the 4 leagues I'm in, people be like, Cam Akers dropped. So yeah. I think that's a wrap on Cam.
Yeah, exactly. And Daniel Jones, it looks like he tore his ACL. He may be out for the season. So start firing up Danny DeVito's grandson there to go in there and be the quarterback for them. If Tyrod Taylor is still injured, that's going to be your thing there. But this just came over the wire, Winston. I got to get your thoughts here for the NFL. This is legitimately happening for some reason. And this does not bode well for Matt Stafford here. Carson Wentz has been hired by the Rams. He's signed by the Rams to be their quarterback. Why in God's name are you hiring Carson Wentz? And for the love of God, get that Commander's uniform off of him and put something else on there. So adding another piece to Carson Wentz's wardrobe.
Who else you got? Who around?
Yeah,
that's going to be able to help them out, and they're still trying to stay relevant. You got to do something because it's clear that this Rippin dude is not the answer.
Brett Rippin looked terrible.
He looked really, really bad. So you just kind of had to do it, man. So good for Carson Wentz for getting another shot. I hope you don't blow it, bro, because this is probably the last one.
Yeah. Another thing, let me get your thoughts on this. Dov Kleiman is reporting this from the NFL. He's an NFL reporter. According to him, rumors he is hearing is that Robert Kraft could fire Bill Belichick if they lose to the Colts in Germany. He said, based on my conversations, I don't think it's 100% that Belichick finishes out this season. If Belichick comes home from Germany with a 2-8 record, I think there's a chance the Krafts could make the move in the bye week and install Gerard Mayo as the interim coach for the final 7 games.
I think that is a massive mistake, especially because I was going to mention this earlier with that Chiefs Dolphins game. I think it is nonsense. If they want to do these international games, fine.
Yeah.
But they need to be from two teams that just came off of a bye so they can go out in the middle of the bye week to go get used to the time zone. I don't think people realize how much that will fuck with you, let alone the fact that, remember, with football players being mid-season, every game is taking a toll on your body. To have to try and physically be recovering while also having to adjust for time shifts and all that, that is nonsense to me. And I don't think the games still count, and they should, but I think we can't put too much stock into a lot of stuff depending on how it goes. It's why I didn't go all in on the Dolphins are going to miss the playoffs now, or the Chiefs are whatever. I just was okay, it said some more stuff that we kind of already saw, but I think that I love it for having more people around the world enjoying football. Yeah. I hate those games because I don't think it's good for the players. I think that is actually a detriment to the players. So if you're going to do that, if you want to fire Belichick after the next game back here post Germany, fine. But I think doing that in Germany is fucking weird.
This is the next piece of the puzzle. If he does see out the season, Mike Florio, who of course has broken a lot of news over the years in the NFL as a reporter here, he is saying that he has heard through the NFL grapevine that Josh Harris, the owner of the Commanders, will call the Patriots to inquire about what it would take to trade for Bill Belichick to become the next coach of the Washington Commanders.
Well, maybe if they get fired.
So if the Patriots don't fire him, the Patriots would have to trade him to Washington with draft picks or whatever. This is so interesting. Bill Belichick.
Calm down.
I don't know if Sam Howell would be the quarterback. I'll be honest with you. I don't think Bill Belichick's going to turn much into Sam Howell.
Bring Mac Jones with him.
No. But I am so interested to see what the next step is in this situation. If that does happen, he goes to be the Commanders, it'll be reminiscent to when Vince Lombardi went to coach the Redskins after his time in Green Bay. Unfortunately, he died of a heart attack or cancer, I think, during that season, but he was turning the skin.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he did. He died of, I think, cancer or a heart attack that season. So,
oh my God.
Yeah. But, Bill Belichick coaching the Commanders. Hello. This would be crazy. Anyway, all right, that's it for us. Anything to say on this, Winston? What do you thought?
Nope. Hey, you can. I good luck with that. I mean, I'm not going to be happy if all of a sudden we got Bill Belichick in the division, but whatever.
Right. We'll see. All right. Thanks everybody for watching this episode of Game Time. We appreciate it madly. You guys are awesome. Thanks for the Streamlabs. Thanks for the super comments on the feed here, the back and forth, the chat. It's always fun to hear what you all have to say about everything. We appreciate it madly. Winston, thanks for another fun show. Please let people know where they can find you.
Is there, you know what it is, at the Swaggy Blurred on all of the platforms. I'm over on Capes and Cows with Christian Harloff on Fridays. Obviously here with Rocha on Tuesdays doing game time. I got a fun video coming out later today. I got to hopefully figure out how to finish my edit while getting some work done. Otherwise, it'll be out first thing tomorrow morning because, just got a lot of stuff going on today, but I do have that coming out soon. So there you go.
Right on. Are you seeing the Marvels tonight?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Same here. So look for our reactions on our separate feeds, our separate channels as well. As for me, you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/John Rocha Says, and everything else I've got going on there in the world. If you follow me on social media, you hear all about it. All right. Y'all be well. Take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here of Game Time. Peace until then.
Hello.